Now I would like to welcome Max Scheugl. I met him somewhere in winter. You asked me, I don't know, about maybe some services or something, and then we met, and it was a very pleasant meeting in Vienna. And we are in touch, and we're trying maybe to find even some project we can do together. And I found that Max has a really many years experience with the usability and with the application design. And he was willing to say us a few words about his experience with the bank. So, welcome, Max.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks a lot to UI42 for inviting me here, and thank you for coming. My name is Max Scheugl. I'm from Vienna, Austria, and I will present you a case study today. It's about the mobile web for an Austrian bank called ING DIBA. It's a Dutch corporation, and they have local subsidiaries in all over Europe. So the question is how to wow bank customers. Can you wow bank customers? I mean, banking is not the most exciting thing in the world, but can you wow them? And I have here some screenshots from a feedback channel from the App Store. Okay, so it's about the ratings, how did people rate it, and I think the whole project team here did a wonderful job, and for me it's now proven that you can wow banking customers if you give them what they want, if you learn what they want. In case you wonder, the title is about a web application. I'm showing here screenshots from the App Store. We did design a web application, and in the end we made a custom application wrapper so that the mobile website is also available in the app stores. Okay. So they were quite, the customers in the end, they were quite happy. Of course, there are always some people who say it doesn't get, you can't do it any worse. But most of the people, they are quite satisfied with what we delivered. So a short thing about myself. This is my office in Vienna, and I'm a user interface designer. I'm a one-man show, so most of the time I sit alone in my office. Sometimes I have some colleagues and we work together on projects. Or I have students who like to work with me. And I work for clients like the ING DIBA I mentioned, this is a Dutch bank, or I work for Deutsche Telekom, or from A1 Telekom Austria, that's a mobile network operator, or for Real Networks in Seattle. And I also work for agencies like Fjord in Helsinki, for example. They are a mobile design agency. And I also teach at universities like in Graz at FHU and Neon. This year I'm teaching in St. Pölten. So before I was freelancing, I was manager for user experience at Deutsche Telekom. I worked there for 5 years. I was living in Germany near Frankfurt. I was responsible for the user experience of the products of Deutsche Telekom, and the products they were used at the German market at the time. Before that, I was an information designer at the public radio and television from Austria, so I was a founding member of ORF.at. That's the news website from ORF, from the public broadcasting company. And I started my first, and it was the worst as well, my worst and first web project, 1995. It was an Amazon.com clone. It was an online bookshop. But at that time I had no idea how to spell usability, so you can imagine the results then. But since 1995 I have used a lot of design methods like technology-centered or aesthetic-centered or enterprise-centered. And in the end my favorite is the user-centered design process, because it delivers the best results and it fits to my personality most. So that's why I stayed at user-centered design, and that's what I'm doing now. And my presentation has 6 parts. I will focus on the first 4 parts because that's my core competence. So I will tell you a little bit about how to do acquisition as a one-man company doing user interface design. Then how a typical project runs. So it's doing user research, it's doing design, first with wireframes, like sketching, finding out the information architecture, and lettering, finding the right words for the buttons and for the dialogues with the user. And then we'll talk a little bit about user testing. Step 5 is mock-ups. That's when we add visual design to our product. And the last one is coding and launch. So there's this little navigation here on top, so you know where we are. It all started, this project started with ENG deeper approaching a partner of mine, Klaus. He has a long business relation with ENG. He's doing user testing for them for a very long time. And they approached him and told him, we need a mobile version of our website, could you do the user testing? And Klaus knew that I was doing a lot of mobile work at Deutsche Telekom and afterwards. So we approached them and told them, okay, look, we can do more than just user testing. We can do user interface design, and we will use wireframes. And they were interested in that, so they invited us, and I presented them a project I did for Deutsche Telekom. It's the German hotspot page. If you use a Wi-Fi in Germany at McDonald's or at the airport, there is some a login page where you have to register or pay before you can use the Wi-Fi. So this was the wireframe for that project, and this is a mock-up where we added the more visual design for it. And we had the luck that ENG was very interested in doing user-centered design, and they have heard about wireframes, and they really would like to try it out how this works. So the next challenge then in the sales was they were demanding an all-inclusive offer, which is very difficult for a freelancer, so I have to predict the future, and I'm not very good at that. So we came up with this Excel sheet. So this is the stuff my partner Klaus was doing, and this is the stuff I was doing. And in the end, we came up about 20,000 euro for this project. And we calculated it on the duration we thought we would need to fulfill it. So that was our approach of it. So we had a research phase in the beginning, then we had design, change requests from the client, user testing, and then handed over to development and visual design. And the project came out completely different than calculated. So that's the high risk of all-inclusive offer. For example, I calculated that we would have 60 wireframes and we would have 30 change requests. So in reality, we don't have 30 change requests, but 120. So that, but I don't lose a lot of money because instead of 60 wireframes, we only had 40 wireframes. So this somehow kept the balance, but for freelancers always a risk. With every offer you do, you learn more how to do it better. So then let's start with the research phase. So after they signed the contract, we started with user interviews. That's the first step I do. Before I design something, I want to speak to ordinary people. Because if I speak to my clients, they are all nerds. They are professional with banking, with mobile, with web pages. They don't represent the target audience. And also with my colleagues in Vienna, like with Klaus or other colleagues, they are all experts. So normally what I do at the beginning, I go to a shopping mall I have a little questionnaire for myself with 5-6 questions, and I talk to ordinary people just to get an idea what's going on in the world. So in this case, we went to a little place to a square in Vienna, and we interviewed people. It's 5 minutes per person. We talk how often they go to bank, how they do banking, on this kind of stuff. So we have an impression what's going on in the real life. Okay, so that's the beginning of every research I do. We continue then doing a competitor analysis, which is very easy today. Thanks to iTunes, you have a lot of screenshots there from apps, so it's very easy to see how the online banking is looking. Also, if you don't have access to this bank, if you don't have to have an account to sneak behind the barrier and find out how they do banking. And of course, the client was very informed about online banking, so they recommended a bank we should look because they have a good reputation in online banking. And we took screenshots from iTunes, and there are some companies doing online demos, which is very nice, so you can see their online banking before you agree to open your balance there, your account there. So that was the next step. We were looking at what's going on in the market, what's going on in the field. And afterwards we did some web analytics. So the project here was that ING DIBA, they had a website, but it was not suitable for mobile or for tablets. So they asked us to design the mobile version of the website. So I have anonymized this data because ING doesn't want to show it in public. But the main points, the main functionality, we just made sure that the main functionality is always also on the mobile, on a prominent position. So when it comes to online banking, checking balance is a very important stuff. You want to see how much money is on your account. And the second most used function is transfer money. I think these are the two core features when it comes to online banking. So these were the hard facts we collected in our research phase. And then we had some documents provided by ING, for example, guidelines for language. Here they explained how to communicate with customers, which phrases you should use, which words you should avoid. And this document also describes how the company wants to be seen in public. So this helped us also when we did design decisions. We often refer to this guide and we discussed, okay, we want to be, they want to be fair, they want to treat customers on equal high. So this helped us in doing the right design decisions. So this was the research phase. We then continued with the design phase. What unusual here was that the content strategy was done by ING DIBA at the beginning. So in the initial briefing document, I got this low fidelity, not even wireframe, but this content strategy document. And in the beginning I was a little frightened because they were so advanced in their thinking, what they want to have. I was afraid that they will not change from what they had. So I was afraid that I have to stick to this level and I can't improve it. But actually it didn't happen that way. They say it and they also meant it, that this is just the initial idea and feel free to drop it or throw it away. Do the best. We want to have the best mobile banking. That was our slogan for these 2 months. We want to have the best mobile banking and let's go for that. And it took me about 1 month here. I started on 12th, 5th, and we finished on 14th, 6th, and we had 17 versions of wireframes, so it was a very iterative process here in this wireframe designing. At the beginning, my client or person responsible for this project. He was on holiday, so I started a week on doing stuff myself, and then I was sending it to the client on a regular basis, and they gave feedback to it. So he was doing all the internal sign-off with legal and with call center and with marketing and all this stuff. So after 1 month, that's where we ended. After 1 month, that was the wireframe of the start page, and there were like 39 other wireframes who described the main screens and the main flows of the project. So you have final language already here, you have some ideas of icons, but they are only placeholders, so it's no graphical design done. And with these wireframes, we started to do the usability testing. So this was done by my partner Klaus, because I designed the wireframes and the product. I cannot test my own wireframes, my own design, because I'm too close to it on an emotional level, and I'm not objective enough. So I used to separate that. When Klaus designs something, I do the testing for him, and when I design something, he does the testing, the official testing. Of course, I do some informal testing during the process, but the official testing is always done by some other company or some partner, because it doesn't work out for me to do myself. And so we had these 40 graphic files actually from these wireframes, and Klaus tested it on the computer like this. You have a recording software, I think it was Camtasia Studio they used. And here's the wireframes I delivered. They all had numbers, so they are in a nice order. I used Balsamic mockups for doing the wireframes, a very nice Italian software. And my own usability, these informal usability tests, I did on an iPhone, where I uploaded the graphic files. These are all PNG files. I uploaded them via cloud service and opened it on this cloud service client on the iPhone. So I had all the screens, and I could scroll horizontally, no vertically, of course. I could scroll vertically. That's how I did my informal user tests, because it's closer to the reality. But Klaus decided to go this way, to have it on the laptop and test it. And here, what I recommend, we made one mistake in this project. We didn't, from the project design, we designed a usability test with the wireframes, but we forgot to do a second usability test with the mockups or with the HTML templates after development. And I think that this was one of the learnings. You get a lot of feedback here when you test wireframes, but you should have the resources of doing a second usability test after you implemented it, or after you added the visual design layer to it. So that was one learning, one of the many learnings I had on this project. Another learning was that we recruited people that were too old. So mobile banking is something for young people. So on the next time when we do usability testing for mobile banking, I recommend that don't recruit people older than 30 years, because they won't use it in a while. This also was shown by the user tests, but we ignored it. But now afterwards, we know the hard facts, that the younger the people are, the more they are willing to use mobile banking. Okay, we get a lot of good feedback here from the usability test. Although I'm very experienced in doing user interface design, I still make mistakes. So I would never sign a contract where usability testing is not part of it. It's just, I know I'm not happy with the results, and I won't have these nice ratings in the App Store. If the client don't have the resources for usability testing, then he has to find somebody else doing his design, because I have my process and I stick to my process. That's how I can do it. Maybe other people can do it in a different way, but it's a very important part for me, so I would never skip that. So and then we proceeded like this. We took the user test results and the wireframes, and we handed it over to a visual designer from an agency. And the agency did some Photoshop files and then switched to HTML templates. So they delivered HTML templates in the end. And they built about 14 days to develop this visual language for this application. And I tried. It's also one thing we failed. So the initial offer has included in this period when other people take over the wireframes I designed, that I'm with them and I'm there for answering, and we can make changes in case there are some technical possibilities. So although I built it to the client, he didn't use it. So it's a difficult thing. In the theory, it's written in many books that you shouldn't drop it over the fence and walk away as a designer, that you should stay until the end, but it's difficult to do it in the real world. I didn't manage to solve this problem yet. So after mock-ups, we had development was done by the internal IT department. So they hardwired mock-ups, the HTML templates to the backend system, and then they launched. This was the process we had. This is a very typical process. There were some unusual things, but most of my projects run this way. And now we have launched about 6 months ago, and I can now present you some learnings from what we have learned until today. So this is the wireframe. You have seen it already. This is the website, how it looked yesterday. I took the screenshots yesterday. So one of the learnings was I designed to write login mobile banking. They changed it to mobile banking login, but both is very crappy. Because the best would be to call it login without anything else, because you use the same username and password as in online banking. So if you call it login mobile banking, people were expecting to use another password or another credential to enter it. So another learning was this button here. They added a login button for some reasons. They had strong reasons for that, but in the end, people get disturbed by that, because they have mobile banking login down here and another login up there. So they are asking themselves, is it the same? What's happening here? Why they have two buttons? So this is a feedback I get from expert reviews when I give this application to my students in St. Pölten, and they made expert reviews. Most of them are annoyed that there are two login buttons. Another learning would be we used for Sparen, that's for saving or deposit, I think. We used this money coin, but the most appropriate icon would be a piggy bank. So we really missed here this nice metaphor of a piggy bank everyone knows. I will change this here as well. And another discussion I had last week when we were reviewing our project, when you go on your iPhone, when you open this app by typing in m.ingdieber.at, they promote here the iPhone app. And I think it's wrong to promote the app on the mobile website, because the functionality is the same. And the only reason I see for promoting the app is that bookmarking on Android is very ugly. You have to leave the browser, you have to go to your widget library and select bookmark as a bookmark on home screen. That's a little bit ugly on Android. On iOS it's solved very nice. You go on share or bookmark, and then you select on the home screen and you have your icon there. So I wouldn't recommend promoting an app here. If you have this hybrid application which works exactly the same And in the web browser, I don't think there is a reason to promote it here. Okay, another things I have learned, this is the login page when you log in, and it's done in jQuery Mobile. It's a JavaScript framework we used for the front end. And there is a feature which can hide the address bar, and they activated the feature here, which I think is not such a good idea, since we have phishing attacks and people are afraid of mobile banking. So I would prefer this version where you can see, okay, this is a secure connection, this is the domain I'm on now. So that's also a learning. I wouldn't design it this way again. Another thing we approached, if you're on the login screen and if you put the focus here in an account number, this is the browser keyboard that shows up and there are no numbers. So every user has to switch to the number field, and I think it's a technical program. We have a technical problem. We had the same problem on the amount field when you want to transfer money and you enter an amount. We were not able to open a number keyboard, neither in iOS nor in Android. So maybe that's a functionality you can add to the application wrapper. You can use APIs there. We can't do it on the mobile web, but this is somehow not nice. If you are in a field where you enter numbers, you should have numbers here. It makes no sense otherwise. So this is the page you see after you log in. So this is a demo account of your main account page when you enter. And I designed one thing which I'm also not proud of, and it's the #1 call driver at the call center. We hide the login button here in the menu, so people are calling and asking us, how can I log out? So I would not recommend hiding the logout button in the menu. It should be visible on every page, and it shouldn't be hidden somewhere down. It should be top and prominent. Another thing I missed here, due to the fact that we hide the address bar here, I missed the page title. So there should be a page title like account details. It's missing here, and I think it's not good for application. So this is the upper part of the screen, and if you scroll down, you have here this page continues, and you have all your balances, so you can scroll down all your balances at once. And what's the next? Okay. If you tap on the menu bar, then you have this menu screen here, and it was implemented that way that it takes about 5 seconds to open up, because it's a normal jQuery mobile page, and that's not very nice if you push the menu button, which is more or less static. I mean, it has my name here, which is not static, but the rest is static. It shouldn't need 5 seconds to show up. So that should be implemented other ways. One of the hidden successes I didn't design, but I learned, we had here this menu we call rate, so you can rate the mobile web page. And if you press this button, we had a very simple page and rate our mobile stuff, and you can give stars, and you write some text, and then you click on send. And to our big surprise, we have 20 times more customer feedback via this page than on the app stores. So although you can give feedback on the app stores and people rate us very high there and give very good feedback we use to improve the application, on this way we receive far more feedback, like 20 times more feedback. And the other advantage in getting feedback here is we know from who the feedback is coming. We know the sender. So in case we have a question and we do not understand, or we solved his problem, the call center can contact him and say, hey, we read about your comment, and we solved it now. Please check it out. And ING is very advanced in their corporate culture, and they really do this stuff. They really follow up on problems, and we have some really amazing reviews in the App Store from this action. So people are so surprised that someone is calling them because they wrote something here on their mobile, and they call them to tell them it's solved now, please try it again and write us again if it's still, if the problem is still here. They are really getting very enthusiastic about this. Yes, please.
There's two questions about this rating. So how is the average rating in these internal ratings? The second question is if the customers can see the other ratings.
I don't know I don't know the results. I only know that some people, they don't write anything. They just enter one of the stars and click send. I mean, this here, the writing field is optional, but I don't know the ratings. I only know the public available ratings in the App Store, which is like 4.5, so quite high, I think. And the second question was...
If they can see the other ratings.
They can't see, no. It goes to the back end of the company, and there is one product manager. The product manager for mobile banking, he reviews it like once a week or once a month and answer or take action from that.
That's maybe the reason why they are more open, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. But the interesting thing is that the amount of feedback is higher. So I don't know about the quality of feedback. It would be interesting to compare the quality of feedback from the App Store and from this channel. But I don't think ING has done that. So this was a positive thing. We didn't design, but we were very lucky or very happy that it worked out that well. I think we didn't design and we didn't support landscape mode, which I think is a pity. It would be possible on the technological side, and if you see here, you're missing the more important part of this menu, like change your address or report a problem. If you are in landscape mode, it should be visible as well, I think. Also here, you see, oops, that's far too quick. You see the screen for depositing money. So, and we didn't support landscape mode here as well. So what I think are the biggest mistakes here, we have a truncation for the back button, although there would be enough place to spell it out. And we would have enough place here for a logout button. We wouldn't have to need to hide it in the menu. And we could save some vertical space here to show more forms, yeah, that don't have to be in two lines. So we could save some space here to improve this. And I think if you're designed for mobile, for iOS and Android, you should really make use of this feature because it's really cool if you rotate your device and it reflects, the app reflects that. One of the nice successes I want to show on this screen is we have here the headline of the screen is Einzahlen, which means deposit in English, and in brackets we have save once or deposit once, and they forced me to put this in because on the web page the functionality is called save once or deposit once, yes, and so that people who know the website, that they are not completely lost here, they forced me to put this here in bracket. It turns out that mobile user deposit money far more often than the visitors from the web page, from online banking. So, and we thought it's in our thought the result it's because of the labeling, because Einmalsparen doesn't say anything. You can guess what's behind Einmalsparen or save once. But deposit, it's just the right vocabulary. So only this change of vocabulary has influenced how the users use the application. So online, most of the users, they check the balance, but they don't do anything else. And on mobile they do more, e.g. they deposit money, which is good for the bank, because then the bank receives money to work with. So this is a very small change we did with a huge effect in the end. So that's the screenshots, all screenshots I have from ENG. I want to have 2 slides to promote some activities happen in the next days. This is Sarah, and she is organizing the user experience barcamp tomorrow in Vienna. It starts on Friday at 2:30 in Vienna. You are all invited to come. It's a 2 days usability conference. It will be in English. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. We have nice food there. So although the registration list is already full, you are still invited to come if you like. So it's on Friday at 2:30 and Saturday at 9 in the morning. We have this user experience camp in Vienna. If you Google it, you will find details about the location. And another thing we are doing in Vienna, this is a picture of the user experience meetup we have once a month. Next Tuesday is the next meeting. It's every second Tuesday in the month. It's near the mayor's house at a hackerspace called MetaLab, and a lot of usability guys and developers come together, and we always have lots of fun there. It's an evening event, so it starts at 7 o'clock in the evening. So, yeah, thank you for your patience. Two things I had in mind when I prepared the slides. It's about the custom application wrapper, so that you develop a mobile website, but then you want to have it in the App Store. So I was wondering, and maybe someone has some data or some information about that. Do people search in the App Store instead of Google? So if you're on mobile, do people go to the App Store and search for ENG instead of going to Google and search for ENG if they want to use ENG service? That's the one question. And the second question is, do people feel better or safer with an app than using the browser? So do you think people, or do you know any research or any? Do you think that the app is more suitable for a bank than a web browser? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so maybe we can do both, answer your questions and maybe ask you more questions.
Yes, please.
I believe. So I have of course question. About the recruitment, you told us that you had the wrong persons, the people for recruitment. So how did you do this recruitment? So because what we usually do, we are doing it with the company. So in this case, we would do the recruitment with the bank. We would ask them for the kind of people we should invite, and then we use an agency usually. It's not
okay.
It's not cheap, it's expensive, but that's the way how you get the right people.
So
what's your?
We recruit about, I think we used about 6 people for the test. I have to look up in the. We recruit 6 people, and 3 people we recruited on our own. So there were no customers from ING. And the other 3 people we recruited, ING was helping us. So they did some data mining, we had some criteria. Most of them are geographically, so we invite people from Vienna that don't have to travel far, and also in the age. So we gave them some criteria, and the call center from ENG, they wrote an email to 300 people, and they get like some response, and from this response then we had a couple of ENG DBA customers who were willing to participate, and we called them and invited them to the test. That's how we recruit here. And we made this error that we underestimate the age range, so we were testing far too old people. It's very unlikely that they ever will use the mobile banking. So next time I would have a new criteria and only give us customers who are not older than 30 years, because normal people, they don't use mobile banking if they're older than 30 years. That's what we find out. So any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Did I got you right that you were testing the wireframes already with the users?
Yes, that was the first, that's right.
And that was the only usability testing that you
was
did?
one of the mistakes, yeah, we didn't test with visual design, right.
So do you have some experience with the mock-ups testing, so you can differentiate both, so what you can get from the usability testing from the wireframes and what you can get from that what already looks like it should?
Yeah. So, well, I can only tell you what the literature is saying. So when you use wireframes, you get more feedback. People are more willing to tell you something because they see it's still in progress. So it's not finished, it's very rough. So it should encourage people to provide you with more feedback than showing them a polished high-end prototype which looks like we're going to ship tomorrow. Then people, it is said that people are not so will not criticize you that much. So that's a good thing, because we are in an early product phase and phase of the product design, and the more honest feedback we get, the better for us. Then we can catch the usability bugs early in the process and not when the developer had done their jobs and then we have change requests. So, did this answer your question?
Partly, yes.
Yeah, I mean the idea of using wireframes, we also approached the CEO of ENG with wireframes, okay? So a wireframe, and Bill Buxton describes this very nice in his book, Sketching the User Experience. Wireframes, they should be quick to make, they shouldn't cost a lot resources, they should be quick to change, it should be easy for you to throw them away because they are done so quick. And this should also be communicated by the visual look. So I think Balsamiq is doing a very good job here, because it looks also sketchy and rough, that if I show this to the CEO of ENG, he's not expecting that it will ship tomorrow if he sees this wireframe. Okay, he sees, okay, it's a sketch, it's not ready yet. So I think this, I'm a big fan of wireframing and using wireframes to first approach your users with your system and do testing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said that you had the mobile website and you had the application. Did you use the same design for both mobile website and the application?
For the mobile application, what do you mean?
There was a mobile website and the application in the App Store. And the same designs were used.
It's the same, yeah. It's both. It's the same HTML5 code.
Oh, and it's wrapped
It's
into the application.
Yeah, that's what I mean by application wrapper.
Yes, and was it fast enough? Because like the technology of the like PhoneGap and these kind of wrappers are not quite that fast. Was there a performance problem?
I didn't recognize, but we didn't use a third-party wrapper. We did our own wrapper.
Oh, okay.
So we used this UI view stuff from iOS. So the wrapper was developed by ENG, by the IT department, and we didn't recognize any performance problems. We had a funny situation. We were showing this app, which is not a real app; it's a web page. So I would call it hybrid app. We were showing this hybrid app to some agencies, web agency recently. And some of the agencies thought it's a native app. They didn't realize that it's just a wrapper. So this was a compliment for us, and maybe answers your question. Even people in web agencies didn't realize that it's not a native app. It's just HTML.
We also always had a feeling that the wrappers were really much slower than the regular applications. But if you developed your own, that might be the case.
But it depends what you like to do. I mean, if you do a car racing game, of course, you will. That's a good reason to make a native app. But when it comes to online banking, that was also a reason why we went to the iTunes store and reviewed native apps as a competitor, as a competition. Because from the functionality, everything you can do in these native apps, you can do in the web, most of it. There was one limit that the virtual keyboard is not in the right mode. That was one of the limits with a mobile website. And I think you can catch this with a wrapper if you add this functionality that you show the proper PIN or number keyboard instead. But we didn't recognize any performance problems. But well, it's very, we have forms and text, so we don't do any 3D animations or other fancy stuff. So.
And did you use the standardized jQuery mobile moving effect when you click on the menu?
I have to check if we have it in. I'm not sure if we configured it out. I think we removed it.
It was pretty slow.
Yeah, we removed it and we have some kind of send clock.
Okay.
It's still slow, so it would be one way to improve it would be to use another framework, a more slim framework like Chapter or so. But yeah, it's there, but people don't complain. So
Good.
It's more the professionals that complain that it takes 5 seconds to open the menu and you have the spinning wheel. But people don't complain about it. But it's not, I don't like it, so that's sure I wouldn't use jQuery Mobile again for performance reasons.
That's what I thought. Maybe just to add to the recruitment topic, we always use at our company when we do usability testing. So we always use a media research agency that actually we send them a screener. They use their 7,000 panel and give us the right people. And this is, I think, the cleanest way to get the representative group of people for testing. It's just my personal opinion.
Okay. I mean, it's amazing what kind of data ENG has. So they can, they have better data, I think, than the media agency.
Well, they all usually have, the media agencies usually have only 5 basic demographic data, the age, education, and that kind of stuff. And then they send them the screener, we get the answers, and then we pick from the people that fit the screener. So it's like 3 steps process to get to the right people. It's more expensive, but it's just clean enough. That's what I think.
So most of the time we have to do it, like you said as well, because not many corporations are that advanced that they call their customers and ask them to participate in user research. It's quite unique. For Austria, I have to say.
But that
so
could
ENG
be good.
is the first client, and they are really, I mean, they have the call center next to them, next to the product manager, the call center people are sitting. So, and they really use it for their advantage to be the best online banking in Austria. And I asked for them to recruit, but I thought, well, let's try, I'm sure it will not work. And I was so surprised what this call center agent people, what they managed to achieve. I was so surprised that they do it, that they did it right, and that it worked. So it's quite unusual. It's not often that you find a company calling their customers asking you want to participate in the user tests and so on.
Okay,
yes,
one more question, just a quick one. Have you done some research on information architecture for this app, like a card sorting session or?
No, we did all this structural thing in the competitor analysis. And the functionality of ENG DIBA is not that big that we felt the need of card sorting. So we knew that checking your balance is important. That's why the balance is the first in big numbers when you log in. And we know that deposit money, withdraw money are the main functionalities, and when you look at the start page from ENG, there it's limited. So we didn't felt the need, but I'm sure for a normal bank like a Girokonto, I don't know the English word, where your But for a normal bank, it would be difficult because we have to ING. It's a saving bank, so you put money there to have high interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get your salary there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bank account for salaries. It's just for saving. So that's the functionality is a little bit different.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I noticed in the ratings from the App Store that people are commenting that you implement the feedback very quickly, and that's why they give you the 5 stars.
Yeah, that's just Mm-hmm.
Also, was it a part of a lot of feedbacks, or was it just these two?
It was most of this guy we talked about a lot. Stefano Luciano.
You know him personally?
Not yet, but maybe I invite him for a beer. So your question was if
it's just this guy and a few others, or was it the reason for the 5 stars from a lot of the feedbacks? You know, because
no, that's only. I'm not sure if I think number 2 here is the only one where we changed, and it says here I have changed my rating because the app is now working good. Also on my iPod 3 under iOS 5.1, and I give you 5 stars now, and I want to say thank you to the technician and the ladies and gentlemen from the call center who called me and so on. So that's the corporate culture of ING. They really do this stuff. So they read this feedback, they Google Stefano Luciano, or they look up in the backbone. Do we have this customer? What's his problem? Can we figure it out? And in the end, the call center wrote him an email because we have all the data of Stefano, and they said thank you for your feedback. And I think that's the best social media management you can do. You just listen to your customers and you take them seriously, and then you communicate back, and people are not expected to get an email because they wrote, this is crap, it doesn't work on my iPod, and they don't expect to get feedback. So if you give feedback, then people are so positively wowed that they change the rating.
Well, it's the same with the first one, isn't it? Like, he didn't change the rating, but he said that he discovered a bug and so commented on it, and then you implemented, you fixed it, and now he's very excited about it.
Yeah, I don't know about him. I don't know what his problem was. I think it's we had another input regarding if you use the mobile app on the iPad. Maybe that was Funz, this guy, but I don't know about him. But it looks like it was also part of his feedback process. I mean, you need a product manager taking his job seriously, just reading the feedbacks. I mean, often you get crappy feedbacks. Yeah? Either people explain it not good. It's a difficult job, but there are some diamonds hidden in this customer feedback, and they are your quality assurance for your product. Yeah? They test it on their devices, on real. It's the best quality insurance you can get, actually. But I can tell you off the records that the Deutsche Telekom, whenever I try to emphasize feedback from Deutsche Telekom clients, they were like, oh no, it's expensive, don't do it. Hide the telephone number, delete the phone number and the email address. So this is the standard corporate culture I know, so ING is doing here very different stuff, things. So.
Regarding your 2 questions about the wrapper and website, I don't have specific data yet, but maybe my personal feeling about the application, the wrapper and the website, I would personally be more secure or feel more secure with the application, because I know that it's application from the bank, it's signed by the bank, and it's not the browser, because I'm relying on the browser that is installed on the device. It can be any other browser that can be used in the device. So I would personally feel more secure with application. And the second question, why do people search for application, or if they search for application in the App Store or Google Play or on the website? Now maybe you have the answer because I don't know how many clients you have and how many installation of application you had already or ING. So if you
20,000.
20,000 downloads, yeah. And how many users at all of mobile bank?
I don't know that number.
So if you find the number, you can see that maybe if you have 50,000 users and 20,000 go to the App Store. So
I don't have the answer, so that's why I addressed. Maybe ING has the answer, but they didn't tell me. So as a freelancer, I don't have access to all their knowledge.
What's your opinion about these two questions? What do you think about it without the data?
So as we decided, we said yes, the wrapper is okay if people search, but then you are not allowed to point from the web page to the app, because that's not what we designed the app for. So that was, I was a little disappointed when I saw this link to the app. So I would say it's not so expensive to make a wrapper, and just in case you have people searching for you in the App Store, for your brand, they should find something. Yeah. But it's difficult, so you invest the resources, but you only have, you don't have hard facts, and I don't like to make design decisions without hard facts. So that's why that's still an open question. I don't know. We have to set up, I'm sure we can find it out by looking at data.
Okay, more questions? Okay, so thank you, Max,
Thank you
very
too.
much for sharing your experience with us.